I still remember the first time she said it. Low, steady, like she wasn't even trying to convince me. "You've never been with someone like me," she said. And somehow, it didn't sound like a warning. It was late. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, like the air itself was listening. She stood by the window, the city spilling across her skin in fragments of gold and shadow. I'd come by to drop something off, something trivial I can't even remember now. But I stayed. Of course I stayed. She wasn't what I expected. Not the kind of beauty that announces itself, more the kind that lingers, that you notice slowly, then can't stop noticing. There was something about the way she moved, deliberate but soft, like she knew people were watching and didn't mind. And when she spoke, her voice didn't ask for attention. It earned it. I kept telling myself not to look too long. But her eyes had that kind of stillness that makes you forget you're being obvious. "Do you want coffee?" she asked. I nodded, maybe too quickly. The kitchen light was dim, a single bulb humming above the counter. I leaned against the doorway while she poured, her hand steady, her movements neat. She wore a loose sweater, sleeves pushed up just enough to show the faint shimmer of a watch on her wrist. Everything about her seemed intentional, even the pauses between her words. When she handed me the cup, our fingers brushed. A small thing, barely a second. But my body noticed it before my mind did. "You're quiet tonight," she said, not looking up. "I don't want to say the wrong thing." Her mouth curved, half amusement, half something else. "You will," she said. "You just don't know it yet." I laughed, awkward, trying to deflect. But she didn't. Her eyes lifted, holding mine long enough for something in the air to change. The sound of the clock grew louder. My heartbeat joined it. She took a sip from her cup, gaze still on me, and I swear there was a question in it. One she didn't plan to ask out loud. I sat down at the table across from her, but it didn't feel like enough distance. The air between us was too alive, filled with unsaid things, half-breaths, the faint scent of her perfume that seemed to find me no matter where I moved. She leaned back slightly, crossing her legs. The sweater slipped off one shoulder, not in the practiced way you see in movies, but naturally, like she forgot about it. And that, somehow, made it worse. "You're staring," she said softly. "Sorry." "Don't be." The silence after that wasn't uncomfortable. Just charged. Like both of us were waiting for something neither was ready to name. She looked away first, her fingers tracing the rim of her cup. "You shouldn't stay too long," she murmured. "People will talk." I smiled. "Do you care?" She didn't answer. A car passed outside, headlights flashing across her face, lighting the faint lines around her eyes, the calm resignation in her expression. Not sadness exactly, more like someone who's been through it all and isn't surprised by much anymore. Then she looked at me again. Different this time. Softer. Or maybe more dangerous. "You really haven't," she said, repeating it like a truth she was tired of hiding. "You've never been with someone like me." The way she said me, it wasn't pride. It was a confession. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but before I could, a knock echoed from the hallway. Sharp. Unexpected. She froze. Our eyes met, and everything that had been quietly building between us suddenly felt exposed. The second knock came, louder this time. She stood, setting her cup down too fast. "Don't say anything," she whispered. And just like that, the air between us broke. The knock faded into silence. She didn't answer it. Whoever it was must have given up after a minute that felt like an hour. When she finally turned back to me, the air was different, heavier, quieter, like something between us had been seen and couldn't be unseen. "Sorry," she said softly, brushing her hands against her jeans as if to shake off the moment. "My neighbor gets nosy." I nodded, pretending that explanation made sense. She sat back down, slower this time. Her sweater was slipping off her shoulder again, but now it felt deliberate, or maybe I was just hoping it was. "I didn't mean to make things awkward," I said. "You didn't." She paused. I just forget how people look at things sometimes. It was the first real hint she'd given me that this wasn't just a casual conversation between two people at the edge of something unnamed. There were rules here, invisible and fragile. I learned a little more that night. She'd been married once, not unhappily, she said, just done. Her words, not mine. No bitterness in them, only the kind of calm that comes after years of being misunderstood in small, exhausting ways. I think I stopped expecting to be surprised, she said. And now? I asked before I could stop myself. She smiled faintly. Now I don't know what I expect. The way she said it, not looking at me, but knowing I was listening too hard, made my chest tighten. I wanted to ask more. About him. About what she missed. About what she was afraid of. But I didn't. Maybe because she didn't ask me about my life either. Maybe because silence felt safer than honesty. Later, when she stood to refill her cup, I reached out without thinking, my hand brushing her wrist to stop her. She froze. Not pulling away, not leaning in. Just still. Her skin was warm. The pulse beneath my fingers steady. I can do it, I said, realizing too late how close I'd leaned in. Her breath touched my cheek when she turned her head slightly. It's fine, she murmured. But she didn't move for a few seconds. Neither did I. When she finally stepped past me, her shoulder brushed my chest, light, slow, enough to leave heat where her sweater had grazed. She returned with the coffee, setting it between us again. You should go soon, she said. I know. But neither of us moved. Her hand rested on the table, fingers curved loosely, the faint line of a scar near her knuckle catching the light. I stared at it longer than I should have. She noticed. Without looking up, she asked, How old are you again? 24. Her lips pressed together. That's very young. For what? For knowing better. That made her smile, small, reluctant, but real. The room felt too warm. The kind of warmth that blurs thought. She reached to take her cup, but her fingers brushed mine again, once, then twice, slower this time. Neither of us pretended it didn't happen. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet enough to sound almost like a thought. You really should go, she said. But she didn't move her hand. And I didn't either. The next time I saw her, it wasn't planned. It never was, not really. I told myself I was just passing by, that it didn't mean anything, but she opened the door before I could knock, like she'd been waiting. Hi, she said. Her voice carried that same calm restraint, but her eyes gave her away. There was surprise there, and relief. Inside, everything was exactly how I remembered, soft light, faint scent of citrus and books, a mug half finished beside the couch. Nothing out of place, except maybe me. I thought you said people would talk, I said, half smiling. I did. And you're still letting me in? She looked at me for a moment, then stepped aside. I guess I am. We tried to talk about normal things, music, the cold weather, the project I was pretending to work on. But every sentence felt like it was waiting for the next silence. Her hand brushed mine when she handed me a glass. Neither of us moved back this time. It was small, accidental, but not really. I could feel the air thinning between us, words dissolving. Then her phone buzzed on the counter, a sharp, ordinary sound that didn't belong in that moment. She reached for it, frowned, then hesitated before answering. A man's voice came through, muffled, casual, too familiar. She stepped into the hallway, speaking quietly. I tried not to listen. I failed. Something about. I told you I'd call. And. I'm not seeing anyone. She returned a minute later, her expression composed but her fingers trembling slightly as she set the phone down. Everything okay? I asked. Fine, she said too quickly. Then softer. He's no one. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't need to. The silence that followed wasn't comfortable this time. It was tight, almost brittle. She moved to open the window, said it was too warm. I followed her without meaning to. The cold air spilled in, carrying the smell of rain. Her hair lifted slightly, brushing my chin when I stepped closer, too close. "You should go," she whispered again. But her voice didn't sound convinced. "Tell me to," I said. Her breath caught. "I just did." Neither of us moved. She turned slightly, her shoulder grazing my chest. I could feel the warmth of her through the thin fabric of her blouse, the tremor in her breath when she exhaled. "Someone will see," she murmured. "No one's looking," I said. Her eyes flicked up to mine, a second too long. The kind of look that felt like falling. Then her phone buzzed again. We both flinched. The sound cut through everything. She stepped back, breaking the spell. I saw the conflict flicker across her face, guilt, fear, something like longing buried underneath it. I wanted to say her name. I wanted to touch her again. Instead, she pressed her hands against the windowsill, grounding herself. "I can't do this," she said. But when I reached out, she didn't pull away. My fingers found hers, slow, hesitant. We stood like that, touching, but not holding, hearts outpacing reason, eyes locked on a truth neither of us was brave enough to speak. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. And inside, we stayed still, closer than ever, pretending we weren't doubt it had been days since I'd seen her. Days that stretched too long, filled with half-written messages and words I never sent. I told myself I'd moved on, that it was better this way. But the truth was quieter and worse. I was just waiting. When she finally called, it wasn't to invite me over. "I found your notebook," she said. "You left it here." I didn't remember leaving it. But I went anyway. She met me at the door, barefoot, wearing that same gray sweater. Her hair was loose this time, falling unevenly over her shoulders. She looked tired, or maybe just softer. "I didn't think you'd come," she said. "I told myself I wouldn't. And yet," she whispered. The notebook sat untouched on the table. Neither of us looked at it. I could tell something had shifted. Her usual calm was gone, replaced by a kind of restlessness that showed in small ways. The way her thumb rubbed against her palm, the way she kept her distance but didn't want to. I stepped closer. "You've been avoiding me." She didn't deny it. "It's easier," she said. "For who?" That made her look up, a flash of something sharp in her eyes before it faded into exhaustion. "For both of us," she said finally. "People would talk. They already do. I don't care." "You should." I wanted to argue, but the way she said it, steady, quiet, with just enough pain to make it real, stopped me. The air between us pulsed with things unsaid. Every time she looked away, I took a small step forward. Every time she looked back, she didn't stop me. "Why do you keep coming here?" she asked. "Because you let me." She laughed once, short and breathless. "That's not an answer." "Because I can't stop thinking about you," I said. The silence that followed was thick enough to feel. She didn't move, didn't even breathe for a moment. Then she whispered, "You shouldn't have said that." But she didn't sound angry. She sounded afraid. I reached out, slow, uncertain, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. Her eyes closed. Her jaw trembled just enough for me to see it. When she opened her eyes again, something in her had given way. "This isn't fair to you," she said. "It doesn't feel unfair." "It will." She stepped closer, close enough that her breath touched my skin. My hand hovered at her waist, not touching yet, just feeling the warmth radiate between us. "If we cross this line," she said, her voice breaking slightly, "there's no going back." I swallowed hard. "Maybe I don't want to." Her hand came up, resting lightly against my chest, not to push me away, but to steady herself. Her fingers curled into the fabric of my shirt. The clock ticked once. Her lips parted. I could feel it, that pull, that trembling pause before gravity decides for you. Then a sound shattered it, the creak of the front gate outside. A voice called her name. We froze. Her eyes widened, full of panic and something deeper. She whispered, almost against my mouth, "Don't say a word." The voice outside called her name again, older, familiar, almost gentle. She didn't move. Neither did I. Then, quietly, she stepped back, the spell between us snapping with the faint sound of her heels brushing the floor. It's just. She started, but stopped herself. The voice came again. Layla? You home? She turned away from me, pressing her hands against the counter, her breath shallow. That's my ex-husband, she said finally, so softly I almost missed it. The words hit like cold water. I thought you said I said we were done, she interrupted. We are. But he still has a key. And habits. Her voice was calm, but her shoulders were trembling. She glanced at me, eyes flicking toward the hallway. Go. Please. But I couldn't. Not yet. Does he know about me? There's nothing to know, she said too quickly. Then, quieter. Not yet. The door creaked open. Layla? His footsteps were close, confident, practiced. She turned to me, her lips forming the word now. I slipped into the small laundry room just off the kitchen door, half closed. Through the narrow slit of light, I saw her straighten her sweater, push a strand of hair behind her ear, and force a smile I could feel wasn't real. You shouldn't barge in like that, she said. I knocked, he replied, his tone too casual. We need to talk. Their voices blurred through the door, fragments of history, half resentments still alive. You still live like nothing happened. You never answer my calls. You're hiding something. I couldn't move. The sound of his voice made something burn in me, jealousy, yes, but also guilt. Because I was hiding. Because she was lying. Because the space that used to be his now carried the warmth of us. The door finally closed behind him 30 long minutes later. When I stepped out, she was standing by the window again, her hands gripping the edge of the counter. The light caught the tear on her cheek she hadn't wiped away. I should have told you, she said. I shouldn't have made you hide me. Her laugh came out broken. You didn't make me. I chose it. I stepped closer, careful but certain. Why? She looked up, tired, raw. Because I wanted something that wasn't supposed to happen. Her confession came out like an exhale she'd been holding for too long. Then her eyes dropped, landing on my hand as it brushed hers. She didn't pull away. I can't keep doing this, she said, her voice shaking. So don't, I whispered. Let it happen. She turned to face me fully this time. For a second, I thought she would. Her hand rose to my cheek, trembling, tender. You don't understand what this would cost me. Then teach me, I said. Show me. Something in her broke then, not loudly, but quietly, like glass underfoot. She stepped in until there was nothing left between us but the faintest thread of air. Her breath brushed my lips. I felt the shiver run through her, through both of us. Then she whispered, If I let you stay tonight, I won't let you leave. The room felt smaller that night, like the walls themselves had moved closer. She stood in front of me, the dim light tracing the edge of her face, her collarbone, the slight tremor in her hands. Her words from before still hung in the air. If I let you stay tonight, I won't let you leave. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us needed to. The only sound was the low hum of the heater, the faint patter of rain against the window. Her eyes searched mine, not for answers, but for courage. Tell me to go, I whispered. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I took a step closer. The space between us pulsed, electric, fragile, real. I could feel her breath now, slow and uneven, like she was fighting something she'd already lost. Don't, she said finally. Don't what? Her voice dropped to almost nothing. Don't make me choose. But I already had. I reached out, brushing my fingers against her wrist. Her skin was warm, soft, alive. She didn't pull back. Her other hand came up instinctively, resting on my chest, a gesture meant to stop me, but it lingered instead. This is wrong, she murmured. So why does it feel right? She exhaled, shaky, helpless. Then her forehead touched mine barely, like a confession in silence. I could smell her perfume, faint vanilla, a trace of something floral, the scent that had been haunting my shirts for weeks. Her breath hitched. "You're too young to understand what this costs." "Then help me understand." She opened her eyes, and I saw it, not lust, not guilt, but something quieter, heavier, want mixed with fear. We stood there, unmoving. My thumb grazed the side of her neck, her pulse leapt beneath it. She leaned in, not enough to close the distance, just enough to make it unbearable. Her voice came out like a whisper pressed against air. "I've spent years building a life without wanting anyone. Then you walked in, and I forgot how to stop." The words hit deeper than touch. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until she looked at me again, eyes wide, vulnerable, pleading. And that's when I understood, it wasn't just me risking something. It was her. Everything about her life had been ordered, quiet, safe. Until me. I lifted my hand to her face, brushing my thumb against her cheek. "Then don't stop," I said softly. Her eyes fluttered closed. Her lips parted, so close I could almost taste the moment before it happened, the decision, the collapse of hesitation into truth. But she stopped. Her hand rose between us, pressing gently against my chest again, not to reject, but to hold the moment still. "We both know what happens after," she said. "I don't care. You will." Her voice trembled on the edge of tears. Then she looked at me, really looked, and smiled, sad and sure. "Now you understand." I didn't move. Neither did she. But something inside us shifted, something irreversible. The wanting didn't disappear. It just settled. When I finally stepped back, the space between us filled with everything we couldn't say. She whispered, almost to herself, "You'll thank me one day." And for the first time, I believed she might be right. Weeks passed before I saw her again. Not because I wanted distance, but because she needed it. And I respected that, or at least I tried to. The world kept moving around me, but everything felt dimmer, like I'd left something half-finished. Then one evening, I saw her sitting alone at the cafe near the park, the one where she used to read on Sundays. She looked the same, but quieter, like the world had worn her down a little more, and she'd made peace with it. When she noticed me, she didn't look surprised. Just relieved. "You look different," she said. "So do you." She smiled faintly. "Maybe we both finally slept." We talked for a while, carefully at first, like two people testing the temperature of old water. But the caution didn't last long. It never did with us. She told me her ex had moved on for real this time. "It's strange," she said, stirring her tea. "I thought I'd feel free. Instead, I just feel open." "Open's not a bad thing," I said. "No. It's just new." She looked up at me then, really looked, and the silence between us softened. The same electricity was still there, but it didn't burn anymore. It just warmed. "I keep thinking about that night," I said quietly. She set her spoon down. "So do I. Do you regret it?" Her lips parted in a breath. "No. I regret stopping." That made me laugh, and she smiled, a real one this time, the kind that reached her eyes. The rain started again, gentle against the glass. She reached across the table, brushing a drop from my sleeve where the window had leaked. Her fingers lingered, soft, deliberate. "I don't want to hide anymore," she said. "You don't have to." Her hand stayed there, between mine. No rush, no stolen moment, just stillness that felt like belonging. "I don't know what this is supposed to be," she admitted. "Neither do I," I said. "Maybe that's the point." She leaned forward then, resting her forehead against mine. The contact was small, but it said everything. Her hair smelled faintly of rain and jasmine. My hand found the back of hers, our fingers threading together, natural now, not forbidden. For the first time, it didn't feel like crossing a line. It felt like we were exactly where we were supposed to be. Later, as we sat in comfortable quiet, she whispered, "You've never been with someone like me." I smiled. You're right. But this time, it wasn't a warning. It was a promise. She laughed softly, closing her eyes, her hands still in mine. And outside, the rain kept falling, steady, forgiving, endless.